Having a TPT store can be so much fun and also extremely rewarding, especially if your store starts making some money. Unfortunately, some TPT sellers accidentally keep their stores small by making a couple of big mistakes that might not seem like a big deal, but they end up costing you a lot in the long run. So we're gonna talk about 9 different mistakes that are keeping your store small. Some of them are very tactical and some of them are more like mindset, but I gotta say the mindset ones usually are the things that hold you up even more. So make sure you watch and listen all the way till the end so that you can make sure you're not doing any of these mistakes, because no one wants that. I don't want that for you. You don't want that for you. Nobody wants that. All right, the first one is very tactical, and that is not using your full product page when you are listing your products. What I mean by that is that on your product page, like your actual landing page where people go to purchase your product, you have lots of different avenues to get people to purchase your product. You have your cover, you have your thumbnails, you have a preview, you can have a video preview, you have your description, you have your title, you have all of these different elements on the page in order to help sell your resource. The point of all of those things is to help buyers understand your resource so that they will know that they need to purchase your resource. If you hear giant rolls of thunder, I apologize, but you know, I'm a show must go on kind of girl, so we just gonna keep rolling. All of these things that go into your store and help you to sell your resource. That's the whole purpose of this, so that you can show people pictures of your product. You can point out different things that are important in text form. You can have a video showing and explaining how your product works. All of these things help your product to sell, because all of these things help people know what your product is. And one thing I see, and one thing I have definitely done in the past, and sometimes I'm still guilty of, is when you are finished with a product and you're so excited and it took forever, and so then you go to list your product and you don't want to spend an hour or 2 hours taking photos, making videos, adding products, like doing all of these things, because it just feels like so much work. And it's like, but the product's the important part. Yes, the product's the important part. However, if nobody buys your product because your listing page doesn't look very good, then it doesn't matter how good your product is, because no one's gonna use it. So make sure that even though it takes some time, you really stop and use all the elements at your disposal on the product page. That includes everything. That includes thumbnails, that includes previews, that includes video previews, that includes descriptions. All of the things that you have at your disposal, make sure you use all of them to the fullest, because this is where you convince people to purchase your product. It's probably the most important thing that you do in your business, because again, no matter how good your product is, if no one buys it, then it doesn't really matter how good it is. So this is very important. Make sure that you spend a good bit of time on this area. One thing that helps me to spend the correct amount of time on this is to have a posting day that is separate from creating day. So when I finish a product, I do not go and immediately try to post it. That's what I used to do, but I found that I would rush through it and I would kind of skip through things, and I would want to, you know, just get it done, get it up. Instead, if I wait until the next day or a few days later in order to post my product, then I come in with more of a fresh mindset. I'm not exhausted and I'm not like already tired going into posting my new product. And so because of that, I'm able to give the product page what it deserves and actually think through the best way to write my description and think through the best way to do this, that, and the other. I have a video all about all of these things in your product page, so I'll link that down below. Because it's very important, and it goes in depth into like previews and video previews and all of those things. But make sure you use everything at your disposal. I know it takes a long time. Do it anyway, because it's going to help you to sell more resources and help more teachers to find your resources. So you know, it's like a win-win. Number 2 is going to be kind of a piggybacking off of that, but that is having covers that are not very helpful. I am guilty of this. I still have some covers I need to redo. I was looking at them yesterday and I was like, ooh, this needs to get on my list very soon to change, because especially when you're new, you tend to make these covers that maybe are not super helpful. So when I talk about the covers, I'm talking about the first photo in your thumbnails that is square. First of all, it should be square, and that's what pops up in search when people are looking for something. It's what pops up in your store when it just has all your product listings, and that's the photo they see. So the cover is extremely important because it's kind of your first taste of what your product is. If people look at your cover and they don't like it or they don't understand it, then they're not gonna click on your product, and so they're never gonna even get to your listing page to purchase your product. So on your cover, a couple of things you wanna make sure. Number one, square, again. Number two, make sure that you have easy to read titles that are large and take up a good portion of the space, like, you know, like all the way across the width. This is very important because you want people to understand what it is. This does not need to be the full title, but pull out important things. So when I do mine, I typically do 3 lines of writing. One of them's bigger and in a slightly different font, and in that I'll write, it just depends on what it is. So like I might write back to school in the big font, or I might write like what type it is, so like go fish in the big font, and then underneath it I have 2 smaller lines that are also very easy to read that give more description. So if it's a go fish product, then I'm gonna write go fish and then like fun centers game for 1/4 and 1/8 note. So I'm going to show you what you need to know in order to do that. So when I have mine, I want to make sure that you know this is a music product, first of all. You know what it's for, so centers, also go fish, and you know that it's for the concept 1/4 and 1/8 notes. Okay, so if you're doing like math worksheets, you're gonna want to write on your thing, math worksheets, and then you might want to write like easy print or print and go or great for subs or something like that, so that people kind of know what it's for. But in general, use less words, but make sure they really show off what your product is so that people understand it very well, so that they will want to purchase it. The other thing you need to have on your cover is large pictures of your product. This could be actual pictures, like you print off your product and you take pictures, which is what I'm gonna recommend because those always look better and just help people to see what it looks like and all of that. But you can also do mock-ups where you have like screenshots of the product on the cover. Either one is fine. Actual photos are gonna do better, but depending on what your product is, you just might find that that is better. So that's kind of how that works. But you want these to be large enough that people can see them. I hate when I see like 72 little teeny tiny photos. I'm like, no one can see that. No one has any idea what that means. It is not helpful at all. Instead, opt for less photos, bigger. So you want larger photos so people can see what the product is and a little piece of what the product is and understand it. That is your main goal, is what is this product? How do you use it? What's it for? Like those kind of questions. You want to draw the people in so that they actually want to click on it. You also need to make sure that these covers are aesthetically pleasing, because unfortunately people like things that are pretty, which means that if they're ugly, they're not going to buy them, which is why I looked through my photos and I was like, ooh, I really need to change these because they're ugly and I don't want to buy them. So I need to get on that with updating the old covers, but like my new covers are much better than the other ones, which is why they're the new ones. Make sure you spend time on your covers to make sure that they have those 2 elements, the like large words describing what it is and large pictures so we can see what it is, and also that they're aesthetically pleasing so that you want to look at them and they look nice. The next thing that's keeping your business small is having titles that do not have keywords in them. When you are making a title on Teachers Pay Teachers, this is very valuable real estate, because this is what's going to not just tell people what your product is, but it's also what the search engine is mainly looking at to see what your product is. So you need to make sure that you have things in your title that people are searching for. So if you are doing, again, math or fraction worksheets, then you want to make sure that you have fraction and worksheets in your title. You also want to make sure that you are taking up a good bit of the title area. You don't have to use every single character, but use enough of it that you are getting things that you're able to incorporate a few keywords. Now, do not keyword stuff. Keyword stuffing is when you just like shove a bunch of keywords in there. If you want to see what that looks like, look on anything on Amazon, anything on Etsy, they all do it. It looks horrible because it's not for an actual real life person. TPT does not like that, so make sure you don't do that, but do make sure that you include important things. So going back to my Go Fish game, if I was gonna put my Go Fish game up on TPT, then my title might say something like Go Fish Music Centers Game for quarter and eighth note, okay? Because now I have Go Fish, in case anyone's looking for Go Fish, music centers, because I want it to be 4 centers, and game, also very important, and quarter and eighth note. That way, if they're looking for Go Fish quarter and eighth note, it'll pop up. Or if they're looking for quarter and eighth note game, it'll pop up. Or any of those type of things. So that is a way to have plenty of keywords in there without making it sound stuffy and keyword stuffy and weird so that no one wants to look at it. Don't keyword stuff, but do use your title space and do make sure that you are explaining your product in it. This is not the time for super cutesy little names that no one's ever gonna search for. Now, my one exception to that is I do have some products that the title of the game is something that's maybe cutesy. So I have a game called Asteroid. No one's searching for Asteroid, but I'm aware of that because it's something that like I came up with, and so people don't know that it's a thing until they know that it's a thing because I told them it's a thing. So for my Asteroid game, I do have Asteroid in there because I do want you to know what that is, but then I explain it afterwards. So Asteroid, an active rhythm game for quarter and eighth note. That way it's still showing up on rhythm games, quarter and eighth, and like all of those things, and people can still understand it. So if you're going to use like a cutesy title, make sure it's just like a word and then actually explain what it is the rest of the time. And it would be even better to just not have, you know, cutesy whatever things in there. Do make sure you have those keywords, so things like the concept you're covering, things like even maybe the grade level you're covering, especially if you're like a music person, a PE person, those kind of people look for grade levels a lot more than like first grade does. And any like relevant season, so if it's back to school, make sure it says back to school in it. Like all of those things are really important, so make sure that you are using your titles so that you are attracting people to your store and attracting the search engine to send people to your store. Number 4 might be controversial, and that is not marketing your products. Y'all, this is one I could get up on my soapbox for, but one of the biggest things I hear people are like, oh, I'm just not getting any sales. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing to get sales? And if you don't have an answer to that, you need to have an answer to that. Marketing your products is drawing attention to your products so that people will purchase them. Now, I will say this is secondary to having good products and having good listing pages. Because again, even if you're drawing people to your products, if your listing page doesn't look good, it's still not helpful. But once you have those things solid, and especially once you have a good bit of products, you want to make sure you're marketing your products, because you know there are a lot of people on TPT and there's a lot of products on TPT, and so we need to stand out. We need to help make sure that people are finding our things by sending our own traffic. So marketing you can do in many different ways. I have lots of videos on marketing. I'll link some down below, but you can do marketing through social media, you can do marketing through paid ads, and you can do marketing through my personal favorite, which is content marketing. Content marketing is using a blog, a video, a podcast, like that kind of stuff in order to build an audience and drive traffic to your store. So I, for example, have a blog. I also have a YouTube channel for my Becca's Music Room. It's literally, they're all called Becca's Music Room. The YouTube channel, the TPT store, the website, the whole thing. And the reason this is important is because people go to Google and they search things. So they might search like easy music games, and then one of my posts on my blog might pop up. This actually happened this morning. I was looking, I was like, I need a song for La, like do re mi fa sol la, 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 that's what I'm looking for. And I was like, I need some songs for La, and so I went to my phone and I typed in folk songs for La, and my post popped up, which was great and really exciting. But my point is that if it was somebody else that was looking for folk songs for La and they found my post about folk songs for La, or my video, because I have both, and it popped up pretty quickly, then you can click on that, and then I'm sharing this helpful information, and I'm also promoting some products, because some of those songs I have lessons in my TPT shop that go along with the songs. So in having that post, I'm able to draw people in that maybe don't know me and direct their attention to my products on Teachers Pay Teachers. I'm also able to help them, which means that they're now more likely to care what I have to say. They now know I exist, which is also really a huge thing. And they might, you know, even if they don't buy my products, they might subscribe to my email list. They might go find me on Instagram so that they can get more helpful things. Or if they're browsing Teachers Pay Teachers and they see my name and they remember that I had that helpful blog post, they're more likely to purchase my thing because they now kind of know me. Content marketing is so powerful, so powerful. I contribute pretty much all of my success to content marketing. Like, I'm very passionate about it, and a lot of times people just don't market at all. And now the good thing about TPT is you can get pretty far without marketing, and just with having good products and just with having good listing pages, you can get pretty far. But if you're here on this video, it's because you're not as far as you want to be and you're looking to make your store bigger. And if you want to make your store bigger, then content marketing is going to be your best bet. So definitely look into that. I'll link some videos again down below all about content marketing so that you can learn more about like maybe what would be better, if that's right for you, and all of those things. A little side note, if you have products that are more difficult to understand, then you need to be marketing even more. Things that do the best on TPT are things that people quickly understand. I see this a lot in my store with things like different song packs. So I said I have song lessons. Song lessons that go along with songs that pretty much all the music teachers do sell better than the ones that are more obscure and not a lot of people know about them. And the reason is because they already know about it. And so my products that are, you know, a little more obscure, it's a song that maybe not everyone knows, I have to make sure I am marketing even more, because I now have to not just help you convince you that you need to buy it, but I need to explain what it is so that you know what to do. So if you have more complex products, you need to be doing marketing to explain what those products are so that people will want to use them, because if they don't know what they are, they're not going to use them. You know, my favorite quote we talk about all the time. Most of the time, the prospect says no because they don't understand enough to say yes. If your people don't understand you, they're not going to buy your product. So if you have more complex products, make sure you're doing the marketing, make sure you're doing the work to sell those products. Now, number 5 is going to be kind of the opposite of that. And the next mistake I see a lot of people do is taking on too much too fast. Because once you get down the rabbit hole of, oh, not just TPT, but I can do social media and I can do blog and I can do Twitter and I can do this and that and all of the things, it starts to get really overwhelming. Anytime that you have a new activity that you're doing, it's going to feel much harder. Think about when you were a first year teacher. When you're in your first year teaching, everything is so hard. It's like every day is a struggle, every class is a struggle, everything is a struggle for the whole entire year, because you don't know what you don't know. And so you don't even know what to learn because you don't know what it is that you need to learn to get better. And it's just so hard, and everything is so hard. Okay, now once you get out of your first year teaching, it gets easier and it gets easier, and it's never going to be easy because teaching is hard. But I can tell you that, you know, teaching in year 5 and year 6 is way better than year 1, because I know things. I know lessons, I know strategies, I know the kids, I know how to phrase things, I know, like, there's just so many things that I know now that I didn't know then. It's the same thing with your business. When you have your TPT shop and you first start it, you're like, I don't know what any of this is. I don't know how to make a product. I don't know how to make a cover. I don't know what a preview is. Like, I don't know anything. And so everything is a struggle. But gradually, as you get better and better and better, and time goes on and you work on it and you practice, you get better and it gets easier. Nowadays, when I go to make a product, like, it's not stressful. It's not difficult. It is time consuming, but it's not like a big huge thing like it used to be when it was my first product. Okay, because your first one is really hard, the second one's easier, the third one's easier, and it gets easier. So if you're trying to learn all the TPT things, and you're trying to learn all the blogging things, and you're trying to learn all the Instagram things, that's a lot of things to learn at one time. So as you're going about your business, my suggestion is to only ever add one thing at a time. So if you are brand new to TPT, all you're worrying about right now is products, product creation, posting, that kind of stuff. Once you get that under your belt, which is usually going to be when you hit like between 25 and 50 products is when you start feeling like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Then you can add on Instagram, you can add on Pinterest, you can add on a blog, you can add on YouTube, whatever it is you want to do, I don't care, but you can add something on. And then once that gets easier, then you can add something else on. When you take on too many things at the same time, it can be very overwhelming and very stressful, and usually causes you to burn out and just not want to do any of it. It's not worth it. So take it in baby steps and continue. And I totally get it, because I am a person who wants to do all the things, who loves doing all the things. Like, that's my personality, is I want to do all the things all the time. So I get it, I get you, I got you, but it's not gonna be done overnight. Rome was not built in a day. Your TPT store is not gonna be built in a day, and you have time to do everything. So yes, do the marketing, yes, do all the stuff, but only add on one new thing at a time, so that you are not overwhelming yourself, stressing yourself out, and then just end up quitting. Okay, and I know it's hard. You look at other stores, you look at my store, oh my gosh, I have so many stuff, I have so many things. But it wasn't all at one time, you know? I did blogging for a whole year before I started doing TPT. And so like it was incremental. And so what I have now is not what I started with. Just always bear that in mind, and make sure you start with one thing and only add one new thing at a time. Number 6 can kind of go along with that, and that is starting and stopping. This is a problem I see a lot with teachers, in particular because teaching is kind of seasonal work. You have, you know, back to school season is super busy, and then it chills out a little bit, and then you get to December and like everything is crazy town, and then you come back and everything's like pretty good, and then you have like, oh my gosh, we're testing, and then it's like, oh my gosh, the end of the year, and then you have summer when you're not doing anything. And because of that, if you are reacting to that, then sometimes you might, you know, start your TPT shop, you might get a whole bunch of products and then not touch anything for a while, and then you start a blog and do all these things, and then you don't do anything for a while, and you start and you stop and you start and you stop and you start and stop. And every time you stop, it gets harder to keep going. So my suggestion is to be more consistent. Even though, yes, teaching is seasonal, things are different in different seasons, find a way that you can still hang on to something. So obviously you cannot do the same amount of work in the summer as you can at back to school time, because, you know, you're a lot busier during back to school than you are in the summer, when it's like, well, I could make TPT products, or I could lay in the pool. And if it rains, it makes the choice for you, which is excellent. And so that is going to be totally different. But even though you can't do the same amount of work, maybe you still work for like an hour a week, or a couple of hours a week, or something like that. So you aren't starting and stopping and starting and stopping. You're still kind of having a little bit of momentum, even if it's not a ton during the stressful times, so that you can keep going. The more consistent you are, the more your store will grow, and the faster your store will grow. Every time you stop, it gets harder for you to start, it gets harder for you to keep going, and so on and so forth. I'm not talking about taking a break, because I'm all for breaks. We went on vacation last week. I didn't even bring my computer. I didn't touch anything except Instagram DMs, and it was great. I really enjoyed it. It really helped me, but you know, a short couple of days is very different from like taking 3 months off and then coming back for a week and then taking more time off. Every time you stop, it gets harder to start again. So I know we're in like take a break culture, but find a way that you can do a little bit throughout the year, instead of starting and stopping and doing all of that. Even if it's, again, just a little bit, just to keep the momentum there, just so that you're still in tune with it. That's gonna make a huge difference. Number 7 is a big one, and that is overthinking things. Some people are plagued with perfectionism. I'm not one of them, but some people are, and that might be you. It tends to be a lot of teachers, and when you are focused on making things perfect, it can be really hard to just keep going. And so what I don't want you to do is get stuck in the overthinking and not make progress. So instead of, you know, spending months and months and months researching things, spend a little bit of time researching and then get going, because you know what? You learn more from the doing than you do from the learning. And once you start doing something, then you know what you need to learn. So watch a couple of videos, but then get started. And then when you run into a problem, you can find your solution to that problem. But don't spend months and months and months thinking about things, overthinking things, like stressing, is my product good enough? Is it better? You know, if your product's not good enough, people won't buy it. I know that sounds harsh, but it can be very liberating, because then it's like, well, okay, then I can post it. And if they don't like it, then they don't buy it. And then no harm, no foul. So just stop overthinking things, make your products, post your products, get down to work, and focus on the doing and not the thinking. Number 8 and number 9, as you've noticed, we've switched into the mindset area. Number 8 is making excuses for yourself. So if you are maybe not doing as much as you would like to, or you are not making as much money as you'd like to, or whatever it is, don't make excuses for yourself. Especially don't make excuses for yourself to yourself. I sometimes get messages from people who kind of just want, I don't know what they want, but this is a very common thing. I get an email from someone and it'll be this long drawn out explanation of all the reasons why they can't have a TPT store. And I'm like, okay, then don't have a TPT store. Like, what do you want me to tell you? I don't know. And it'll be like, you know, oh, I want to have a TPT store, but I have this going on and that going on and this going on and all of these things happening. And so I don't know if they're wanting me to like give them a magic bullet, or if they want me to like let them off the hook. But what it comes down to is stop making excuses for yourself. We all have the same amount of time in the day. We all do. Isn't that terrifying that like brilliant people have the same amount of time in the day as I do, and like really prolific people who like write a bunch of books? Or, oh my gosh, I was thinking the other day, how many movies has The Rock Johnson been in? He's been in a lot of movies, because he popped up on something I was watching and I was like, I didn't even realize he was in this. He's been in so many movies. He is so big, and he has like a tequila brand, and he has like a clothing brand. He has all of these things, and he has the same amount of hours in the day that I do. Okay, if The Rock can do it, I can do it. So what I mean by that is stop making excuses if you can't put the time in, or if you aren't making as much money as you want to, because it's not magic. You got to do the work. And if you can only give an hour a week, then that's all you got to give, and give that, and don't make excuses, and just accept it. If you can do more, then do more. And if you can't, and you're like, really truly, I just don't know how I'm going to do this at all, then don't do it. I know that seems mean, I know that seems harsh, but if you can't make it work, then you can't do it. So if you want this to work, then you're gonna have to put in the time, you're gonna have to put in the effort, and you're gonna have to find that time and find that effort, because nobody's gonna hand it to you. Nobody's gonna be like, here's an hour on a platter, have fun. No, that's not a thing. What they're gonna do is they're gonna say, I need you to do this, I need you to do that, I need you to do that, and you have to be the one that's strong enough to be like, no, I'm working. Okay, you know, if you have kids, you might have to figure out something for childcare, have, your spouse watch them, have your neighbor watch them. You might have to, work when they're having nap time. Like, there's things that you can do in order to make things happen, but you have to make them happen. Stop making excuses for yourself and just get going. The last one is difficult, and that is stopping too soon. This can be hard because you don't know how long it's going to take in order for your store to take off. I have people that message me that tell me their stats for their first couple months, and they're amazing, and I'm like, holy cow, yeah, I wasn't anywhere near that kind of ball game. You're gonna do great. And then there's people like me who made $7 in their first month. And you know what? It worked out pretty well. And so you never know how long it's gonna take to get the ball rolling, and you have to be able to be patient and to work through that. Don't stop before you reap the rewards. Don't give up before you reap the rewards, because what's gonna happen is you're gonna get a year down the road and you're gonna be like, I wonder what would have happened if I had actually stuck with it and done the work to make my TPT shop work. You don't want to be that person who has all these regrets in life. You want to be the person who's like, look, I did that and I crushed it and it took a while, but here we are and things are great. And you want to be that person. You want to be the person who gets things done. So don't stop. it can be discouraging. Don't get discouraged. Worry about yourself. Worry about how much time you're putting into things. Worry about how many products you're making. Worry about what you are doing to move the business forward. And don't stress about the business, because you know what? Chances are you're not going to make sales at the beginning, or you're not going to make many sales at the beginning. And chances are when you start a YouTube channel, no one's going to watch it for a really long time. Do you know how many videos I made for like 5 people? A lot of videos, and it took a really long time for YouTube to start working and to make any money out of YouTube and for it to continue. But I never would get to the point where it's working if I hadn't kept going, even when I wasn't seeing results. So don't stop, don't give up, keep going until you reap the rewards, because you will reap the rewards. And the great thing about TPT and online business in general is that it's exponential. It's not, you know, like you make a little bit each month. It's like you do a little better and then better and better and better, and your graph kind of goes like this, and it's magical and it's great, but you gotta be able to stick it out until you get to that point. Do the work, keep going, be consistent, focus on those product listings, market your products, and you're gonna be great. You're gonna be great. I would love to know what you would add to this list, so let me know down below. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or send me a message over on Instagram. It's at becca.e.davis, and that is the fastest way to get me to reply to you. So if you have something pressing, make sure you hit me up over there. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.